11th meeting of the BPRC meeting together. In the absence of our board chair and vice chair as secretary of the BPRC, I will call the meeting to order and facilitate the meeting for today. Currently, we have a quorum present, so we do have an actionable meeting. I would seek approval of the minutes from the May 14th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and just for Cynthia, who's keeping the minutes, if when you make a motion or a second, if you could say your first name, that way she
Okay.
can hear who it is in case she's taking notes. Any
Okay.
public comment? Does not appear to be anybody in chambers, so we will pass on public comment. Secretary's report, we have 282 properties currently on the blighted property list. The Redevelopment Authority did authorize action against one property on Monday, so another property will be going through the condemnation eminent domain process here in the near future, along with several other properties that are currently in that process. So we have, I think, right now 11 properties working through acquisition at the current time. So that is my report. Correspondence, we did not receive any correspondence. We did have communication with the property owner at 606 East 10th Street. They received a pre-condemnation notice from the Redevelopment Authority, reached out in an effort to see what they can do to try to mitigate and remove the declaration of blight. So we're going to continue those conversations with them and work toward potentially renovation and blight rescission on that property. So I guess I'll move on to old business. Jake, if you want to handle old business?
Yeah, no problem. I'll wait for the pictures to get put up there. Is that first one you have 959?
Yes.
So up first we have 959 West 8th Street. This property was completely renovated. Actually, no, that is East 23rd.
That was
That is
13th
East
Street,
23rd.
or 23rd, you're right.
Yep, 516 East 23rd Street. This was also a complete renovation. They had all of their permits pulled. They passed all inspections, everything from electrical to building to plumbing permits. They also even removed a garage in the back. They got the permits to do that. So everything's good to go with that property. I did my final rescission inspection on May 27th.
So small, I can't read the, oh, this is West
Yep,
8th Street?
this one here is 1408 West 8th Street. This also went through the process. There was some permits that needed to be obtained, and and inspections were passed. All the repairs were made in accordance with the property maintenance code, and they passed their final rescission inspection. This actually took place back in February. I did that rescission inspection. Just didn't make it to the list until this month. And here we have 2520 East 40th Street. This property was a blighted property, and to my understanding, it was blighted basically because it was overdue on taxes and there were some issues on the exterior of the property. Nothing major, but the property was repaired. All new gutters were installed. They put a new kitchen in. They got all the permits they were required to get, and all the inspections were completed. And I did my final rescind on this one on May 1st. And now we have 959 West 8th Street. This property, I actually had some history with this property when I very first joined the code enforcement team. This was the first property I ever had assisted in declaring blighted. And I'd been in the interior of it, and it was a disaster. And this property was completely rehabbed, and when I walked through, I kind of had flashbacks as I was seeing what it looked like, because I have a photographic memory, and then what it looks like now, and it was a pleasure to be there. They acquired all their permits and passed all their inspections, and I did that final rescind inspection on the 15th of May.
I will agree with you, Jake. I remember that was a hoarder situation.
That was a
and there
bad one.
it was bad. It was full of belongings, and the basement, I think you could barely get, there was a path to the front of the basement, and that property is bad. All right, so we'll be seeking a motion to rescind the blight on 959 West 8th Street, 516 East 23rd Street, 2520 East 40th Street, and 1408 West 8th Street. The other two properties are going to be pulled from the agenda today because they did not facilitate the inspections they needed prior to today. So seeking a motion on those 4 properties for the rescission of blight.
I'll move. It's David.
I'll second. Rich?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh, opposed? Motion passes. And as a point of reference, Andy has, I believe, is joined, so Andy and Selena are online. All right, on to new business, properties for declaration of blight. Jake?
Yep.
Floor is yours.
So up first, we have 452 East 4th Street. This property owner was owned the property since 2004. The property is currently vacant. They are overdue on taxes for 24 and 25 for a little over $1,600. There is no active utilities. There was actually an inspection done by our code enforcement officers, and they found that there was a water main or a water break in the basement, and there is over $9,500 in overdue water bill for this property. This was brought to my attention by the code enforcement officer for that area when he heard rumored that the woman who had lived there passed away. If it was found to be a hoarder situation. We've got 9 cases dating back to 2002, and reviewing the case history, I actually found that this hoarder situation has been going on for probably 19 years. We've got 7 notices of violation sent to this current owner. This owner was cited. They did comply with some repairs that were done years ago, but then again, they were cited again because the property continued to decline, and they just did not keep up with it. This house is extremely overgrown. It's a hoarding situation, and with that pipe burst in the basement and the situation, we're asking for a blight designation.
So moved, Aaron.
Second, Dave.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Aye.
Up next, we have 722 Chestnut. This property has been owned by the current owner since 2021. There was some renovations that took place. Some of the work was complete. There was some work done without permits. To the rear of the structure, there was actually like a staircase that came off, and the owner never did get the proper permits, and the work had just kind of halted for the last couple of years. It is vacant right now. They are current on taxes, but however, with the condition of the structure, we're moving to blight this one. We've got 5 cases all time with this property, 3 different cases with the current owner. We've got 5 notices that have been sent to the current owner, and the owner has not done hardly anything since the initial push when first became the owner of the property. With the case history and the condition of the structure, there's no utilities, it's vacant, it's been sitting there for the last 2.5 years with no progress. We're asking that a blight designation be placed.
Thanks, Jake.
I'll move for blight designation. Rich?
I'll second, Janelle.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 929 West 38th Street.
929 West 38th Street was brought to me recently by the code enforcement officer in that area. They've been having trouble contacting any next of kin or anybody responsible for the structure. The utilities are all off. They are back in taxes for 23, 24, and 25 for over $10,000. This owner is the only deeded owner on record that I could find on the county website. I do believe she is deceased, but I have not been able to find an obituary in regards to her passing. We've got one case with this property. We've had 4 notices, multiple notices posted to the structure, 0 response. We've got a citation pending with the district judge that there's been no response to since October of last year. It's extremely overgrown, and with no responses from anybody after the postings and the citations, we're asking for a blight designation.
Was there active water?
No, water's been off, and they owe $2,300.
Okay.
I'll move. David?
I'll second. Rich?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, well, that all you have, Jake?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. So that is all we have for today. Is there any other business?
It's always encouraging to see the ones rescinded.
Yes.
Very encouraging.
I'm taking a lot of pride in trying to remove properties from the list and slowly decrease the number, or at least if I can come in here with 3 to add and 3 to take off, I know the list isn't growing. So it's a good feeling to try to get some of these that should come off the list.
The first one that you spoke about remembering being in, how long of a process was that?
I've been with code enforcement for almost 7 years. So I would say it was probably at least 6 years from the time that I was in that structure and we presented it to be blighted, to the point where we are now.
Yeah. And it was
And I do know that I can say that the owner was working on this, and then COVID held up some of the construction that was happening at the property. So there was a little bit of a hiccup there, but it is a lengthy process. But we enjoy seeing the end result when the houses are saved.
Yeah, that was a redevelopment authority condemnation developer proposal. So, and COVID did cause some issues with the middle of the process. But yeah, take some time. So, all right. Well, I thank everyone for their time today. And if there isn't anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Rich?
Second. David?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.